when attraction turns into control, when love starts feeling smaller. Attraction is powerful. It draws two people together, softly at first, then completely. But sometimes, what began as chemistry slowly turns into something else. Not love, not devotion, control. And it rarely starts loudly. It begins quietly, in the small ways one person starts shaping. How the other thinks, feels, speaks, and eventually lives. Tonight, we decode how attraction slowly becomes control, and why it happens long before anyone sees it. This is FEMCODEX, the channel where we decode the feminine psyche. Chapter 1. Control never arrives as control. Control does not walk in and announce itself. It begins as, let me take care of you. I know what's best. I just worry about you. I want you all to myself. At first, it feels flattering, desired, chosen, protected. But soon, protection becomes restriction. Concern becomes monitoring. Care becomes control. And suddenly, what once felt like closeness begins to feel like containment. Chapter 2. Why the feminine is vulnerable to control. For many women, the need for emotional safety is deep. So when a man appears strong, decisive, grounded, focused, it can calm her nervous system. But unhealed masculine energy confuses leadership with ownership. And unhealed feminine energy confuses intensity with love. So she allows control because she thinks, if he's this invested, it must be real. But investment becomes surveillance. Interest becomes interrogation. Love becomes possession. And attraction turns into emotional captivity. Chapter 3. The subtle signs of control. Control rarely looks like anger at first. It looks like who you talk to, where you go, how you dress, how often you respond, who you follow, what you share, what you think is appropriate, how much space you're allowed. It sounds like, I don't like when you do that. Why do you need to see them? If you loved me, you wouldn't. You don't need anyone else but me. And slowly, she stops choosing for herself. Not because she forgot how, but because it became safer not to. Chapter 4. Control in a feminine form. But control is not only masculine. Women can control too. Only, it often sounds softer. It looks like emotional guilt, silent withdrawal, subtle testing, coldness as punishment, affection as reward, validation as currency. She doesn't shout. She withholds. She leaves him chasing approval instead of connection. Control doesn't always dominate. Sometimes, it seduces. Chapter 5. Why people control those they love. Control is not always cruelty. Often, it is fear wearing love-colored clothing, fear of losing someone, fear of abandonment, fear of betrayal, fear of emotional exposure, fear of not being enough. So instead of trusting the connection, they try to manage it. But when you manage love, you don't protect it. You suffocate it. Because love needs air, control needs walls. And the two cannot coexist for long. Chapter 6. The psychological cost. Control doesn't just damage the relationship. It damages the self. The controlled partner learns to shrink, silence themselves, doubt their instincts, disconnect from their needs, confuse fear with love. The controller loses too, because you cannot control someone and feel safe with them. At the same time, control is a cage. You eventually live inside of too. Chapter 7. Healthy leadership versus control. There's a difference between guidance and dominance, support and restriction, care and possession, boundaries and rules. Healthy masculine presence says, I want to build with you. Control says, I want to contain you. One creates devotion. The other creates distance, even if the body stays. Chapter 8. When attraction returns to balance. True attraction thrives where both people feel safe, have autonomy, speak honestly, choose freely, respect boundaries, practice emotional maturity. Love deepens, not when power increases, but when control dissolves. When two people stay, because they choose to, not because they're cornered. That is real polarity. That is real trust. That is real love. The FEMCODEX truth. Attraction becomes control The moment love stops being offered and starts being managed. If you have to shrink yourself to keep the relationship, you're not being loved. You're being contained. Real love doesn't require your freedom as a sacrifice. It requires your wholeness. This is FEMCODEX, the channel where we decode the feminine psychology, where psychology meets truth, and truth meets you. Until next time, do not mistake intensity for devotion or control for care.